Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I'm Blackbright, broadcasting out of the UK, around the world, and, just updating you on things to do with immigration and deportation, that kind of stuff. Today I decided to do a video on the indefinite leave to remain because I believe that the majority of Jamaicans and other people not born in the UK may come under this category and might not really understand the implications of it. Although, you may well do. So I'm not putting down anybody by stating this. I'm just speaking to people who may not know about the requirements of indefinite leave to remain. Number one, if you have an indefinite leave to remain, it gives the impression that you have permanence because you can work, you're free to come and go, and it gives you the impression that, I've arrived, I've got my indefinite leave to remain, so I'm fine. But remember, with indefinite leave to remain, it comes with conditions. Conditions are, like I've said in previous videos, continuous stay in the United Kingdom and no criminal convictions. So while it's fine to feel as though you have some permanence, that's not necessarily so. To apply for British citizenship, it's going to cost you nearly £2,000 by the time you've paid out everything. And you have to ask yourself if that's what you want. Is the country you are originally from worse than the UK in its present state, especially after we leave Brexit? God knows what's going to happen. That, along with rain and cold and goodness knows what else, you have to really, really ask yourself the question, is it worth it? Having said that, there are some people who can bypass the 5 years, and those are tier ones. If they invest 5 million, I believe, they can get their indefinite leave to remain after, is it 5 years? After 3 years. If you put in 10 million, you can get indefinite leave to remain after 2 years. But they're both conditional. I guess you have to keep making that kind of money. And they also have an entrepreneur where if you employ 10 people in full-time jobs for up to 12 months, you can also enter into the UK as long as they've done 12 months after 3 years. So there are ways to get indefinite leave to remain, and like I said, it's just a passport, so you can, it's not really a passport, but it's just a way of coming into the country, being able to work, being able to do what any other citizen can do, provided you meet those conditions. Having a child in the UK, like I've said in previous videos, yes, if you have a child in the UK and the father is a UK citizen, that child, whether he's married to the mother or not, can be registered to be a UK citizen. No, it's automatically a UK citizen if the father is British, a British citizen. If the mother and father are UK citizen, they're automatically... I'm getting a bit confused here. The mother and father are UK citizens. The child has automatic right to citizenship. If the British father is a citizen, he can apply to register the child for British citizenship, and he will get it. But not if the mother is not. But if the father marries the mother of the child will automatically become a British citizen, but only from the date of that marriage. So, it's there are lots of little bits and pieces. Like I said, you really do need to see an immigration lawyer if you want the indefinite leave to remain. That you can do it online. It gives the impression of being extremely simple, but remember, you only get one chance to fill that form. If you make any mistakes, it's rejected. You can't reapply. So that's why I say it's not that You know, anybody with an ounce of intelligence should be able to complete the form, but it's not that simple. There are so many intricate paths and so many different routes to take that you have to be careful what you put on the form, whether you're putting on the form that you're coming to meet a spouse, whether you're claiming for your daughter, whether you're doing work, whether you're doing student, because all of the different reasons for you coming into the country carry different limitations. And if you come in on a student and then you decide to get married, you can't then come in later and say, look, this happened because you came on a student and you were supposed to go back. You weren't supposed to come over here and have a baby. You weren't supposed to come over here and get married to anyone, even though it can happen. So you have to bear that in mind, because a lot of families have been separated because they don't know the rules and the regulations under the indefinite leave to remain. They do have the false impression that they're okay, that they can do anything, that on an indefinite leave to remain they can bring anybody over. But even when they're bringing people over, there is criteria as well. The child has to be under 18, grandparents have to be over 65, you know. Otherwise, they have to complete the language proficiency and they have to complete the life in the UK test. So there's lots of bits and pieces. It's not straightforward. And if you do something wrong, you may not get a second chance. So do solicit the help of people who understand the system and who know what's required and who knows what's best to put on the forms to cover you. I mean, and if you're coming on a visitor's visa, please don't overstay. It's just not worth it. You won't be able to get a job. You know, the family that you used to come and visit on a visitor's visa will lose patience, and you won't have that support network you thought you had when you used to come over as a visitor and go back. So just make sure you follow the rules and do things properly. Because I tell you something, people shout out racism. It's not necessarily racism. It's about doing things properly. And yes, you could argue that the system is not correct. It doesn't do things properly. You know, it's unfair, it's biased, it's corrupt. You can argue all of those points. But as long as you've done everything in your best interest and you've done your best to be as correct as you possibly can, because remember, if you put something down that's not correct on one form, remember, it's not just one form you fill, you know. In a few years later, you have to fill up another form. And if that form is not consistent with the one you filled up first of all, you're in problems. So it's not worth it. Be as honest as you can. If you've been rejected for a particular reason, if you've been removed for the country, removal does mean you can come back again. So if you've been removed, make sure you tell them you've been removed, because they have all the information. A lot of times they're just trying to catch people out to see if they're going to admit to it. And they might not even say anything straight away, and you think you've got away with it. A couple of years down the line, you find yourself out on your ear. So just be sensible, be careful, stay calm, and that's all for now. Bye-bye.